Pokemon, Kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hey there, collectors, it's Steven here, and we're going to continue with the DC vs. Dark Horse set reviews with a review of the Superman vs. Xenomorph set, or you can say Alien if you prefer. I don't really care one way or another. This is going to be the companion set to the Armored Batman vs. Predator set, and we get a nice Superman figure with a really cool painted Xenomorph. That being said, it is an exclusive set, and NECA is known to once in a while have some dodgy quality control, but is that going to be enough to skip out on this set? Well, you just might be surprised. Let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. This is going to be a disclaimer I'm going to put in all of the DC vs. Dark Horse set reviews. The paint on these guys is rather concerning because not only are we going to have some paint flakage due to the fact that the joints were kind of gucked up with paint, as you can kind of see here on some choice examples, I also had to spend about a collective hour to hour and a half heating up all the figures and freezing them so this way I could loosen up the joints and get some of that stuck thick paint to crack. So if you're going to be getting this set or any other set, you are going to have to probably put in some effort to make sure that they all work. Out of all of the figures, I only had one that worked perfectly fine on the box. That was the Sinestro Corporation. Everything else almost broke something. Time to take a look at Superman here, and I do have to say that it is pretty dang sweet. It's a pretty much generic Superman head sculpt, nothing too fancy here, but the paint application for the main figure is cool. We do have some nice blues to bring out some of the better details of Superman, along with some darker blues in the the valleys, if you will, the crevices of Superman, to help enhance the details. So it's not just going to be one shade of blue, we're going to have two. We do also obviously have the reds where applicable to help bring out some of the better details, and of course he's going to have yellow on him as well. Pretty simplistic paint applications for the main body. An issue that I do have is that I did see one with some paint chipping here and there, and underneath that is going to be a peachy coloration. Speaking of paint chipping, as I gave you that disclaimer to begin the review a little bit, you are going to see some paint flakes as you're moving this guy around, both blue and the peach skin color. Speaking of paint applications for the hair, we're going to point this one out just because when you see the Green Lantern set review, there are some issues. Superman here actually has some very small paint bubbles in his hair, which aren't really noticeable if you're far away, but up close here, you can definitely see that. The actual face of Superman does look pretty cool, even though it's sort of a generic Superman. And throughout the rest of the body, we're going to have well-defined muscles, pretty cool boots, and the decal on his chest to signify that this is indeed Superman is applied rather well. Similar to the Armored Batman, Superman here is going to have a cape that is made of actual cloth, and he is going to have the Man of Steel emblem on his cape. Unfortunately, this, like the Armored Batman set, Superman was stored away for just a little while after opening, and after removing him, I did notice there was some tattering to the fabric, so do keep this in mind when you are moving around your Superman. Otherwise, it is a pretty dang sweet figure. Time to talk about the Alien, and here is a nice blend of a stylized design copy and pasted over to one of these standard Xenomorph figures you can pick up on the market. So this is just going to be a repaint, no real new parts added in here. So if you're familiar with the AVP or the Alien 4, or Resurrection, whatever you want to call it, design, then congratulations, this should seem very familiar to you. What's really different here is that they used an excellent blend of browns, little bit of blues, and purples to help bring out some of the sculpted details, and we especially have that somewhat transparent, it's kind of smoky, purple dome on this Xenomorph. An issue with that purple dome that I had, though, is on the back right. We had some scrape in there, so that is a not fun quality control issue that I like. Also, as I showed you sort of in the example for the intro to this video, there are some paint issues in the joints, which this led to bigger issues, which unfortunately caused me about an hour's worth of work to clear up all of my figures from the DC vs. Dark Horse sets. This guy was a big offender. You can even see that in his right foot, which does not want to sit straight. Unfortunately, it's just kind of stuck like that. So make sure you're taking the time to treat your figures well with heat or cold, whatever it may be. All in all, though, this is a nice Xenomorph because it's rather unique in looks. So if you're a fan of maybe having a unique Xenomorph on your shelf, then congratulations, this set does offer it. All right, time to talk about articulation, and for this set, we will start with the alien. Ooh-ah. So being a reused body, you pretty much already know what the articulation is going to be like. We do have a hinged jaw. We do have the inner mouth, which sometimes wants to come out. On this one, it is come out rather tight and not aligned quite properly on mine, but hey, you know, it is what it is. That just slides in and out. The head is attached into the neck on a ball joint, so it can twist and turn from side to side, look forward and back. And then there is a hinge down there, which allows you to move the xenomorph's head forward and back. But unfortunately, that one's kind of stuck, despite a good old-fashioned heat treatment. We do have swivels at the shoulders, along with a hinge that allows us to move the arms up and down. We do have a double jointed hinged elbow, so this way we can move the arms like so. And because NECA is using sort of disc hinges, there is a peg that plugs into the bicep and the forearm, so we get 2 more swivels. For the wrist, we are getting a hinge, so you can see it moves like that, and then it also swivels around. We do also have finger hinges, so this way we can move the fingers. Move your fingers, just like that. Then we do have a ball jointed ab crunch, which kind of does all right, specifically for twisting and turning from side to side. We do have similar style joints in the hips as we do in the shoulders because they swivel forward and back and hinge just like so. We do also have a thigh swivel there, which was really stuck on mine, but after a good old heat and cold treatment, that got fixed up. We do have double jointed hinged knees, so this way we can move them like so. And there is a peg that plugs into the portion of the leg here, the thigh, so this way we get a swivel there as well. We do have a hinge at this bend in the knee that also has a swivel. I believe we're going to have ball jointed ankles, which are good for twisting and turning, and toe hinges. The only issue with the ankles is that for whatever reason, this one is cockeyed and I cannot fix it. Good job, NECA. Finally, for the tail, we do have a swivel where it plugs into the body. As you can see, I'm spinning it around. And then we have one crazy bendy wire, which the actual sleeve of it, the tail, likes to twist and turn on that wire. So do be careful when moving it around so this way it doesn't break. The effective range of the wire is from about this far down on the tail once it leaves the actual body all the way up to here at the tip. So like I will stress towards the end of this section, the joints on the xenomorph here were really tight out of the box, and as you saw in the sculpt and paint section, there's still some paint that is left over in the joints that just likes to flake off. So if any joint is stuck, do not force it. Use heat and cold where appropriate. But yeah, the articulation is pretty good. He has difficulty standing, but hey, that's a pretty good joint stability. All right, time to talk about Superman, and the articulation is pretty good. Basically speaking, all of the DC versus Dark Horse sets are going to be using the same body, so the articulation is basically identical. What do we have? Well, the head plugs into the neck on an actual ball, so this way we can move it in a whole bunch of different directions, and we can rock it and tilt it. Superman's got some good range of movement. For the shoulders, we are going to have swivels where they plug in, just like so, and then hinge moving up and down into the sides, so that's pretty cool. We do have bicep swivels, which are nice. Double hinged elbows. Oof. Swivel and hinge at the wrist. We do have a solid dedicated hinge ab crunch, so we can move them like that. Ball jointed waist. We get a little bit of rocky movement, though I do think this is more dedicated to a swivel, and that little bit there should probably not be happening. We do have swivels where the hips plug in, just like this. Move them forward and back, kick out about that far, back about that far. We do have hinges, so this way Superman can do the splits, and we have thigh swivels. There we go. Pretty good. Double hinge knees. We have a hinge where the ankles plug in on the body. And then there's an ankle rocker, so that's another swivel there. And of course, we have toe hinges. Now, 2 things I really want to talk about as well, maybe that one doesn't want to move on me now. Oh yeah, and the boots do have a swivel as well. Okay, so 2 things I want to talk about. First and foremost, if you're going to be moving your DC superheroes around, be prepared for that paint flakage. You're going to have that from the actual blue on Superman to the actual skin tone. Not that great, but hey, it's going to happen. The other thing is that all of the DC superheroes that I have had issues with their joints. I almost broke a couple joints on Superman. Both of the Batmans that I have, well, on the Armored Batman, I actually did break a joint, and on Green Lantern, I came very close. So if you're having issues with your figures, make sure you give them the good old-fashioned heat treatment or freeze them to help crack the paint that may be stuck in the joints. But all in all, once you actually get Superman working, he will be just fine. Time to take a look at accessories, and it should be short, sweet, and to the point. Superman comes with an alternate head sculpt, which is going to have a hole in the eyes, so this way you can attach two different heat vision or laser beams, whatever you prefer to call it, parts. There's going to be one short burst and one long burst with a beam splash at the end. Then we're going to have two Specium Ray hand parts, or okay, fine, karate chopping hand parts, so this way you have some alternate choices with Superman. So let's go ahead and take a look at that different head sculpt, which is going to be an angry, gritting teeth face with the hole in the eyes. So this way you can put in the short burst effect part or the long one with a splash. Basically, it does sound like what it seems. It's not that complicated. Do take note, though, when you're going to insert the parts into the hole in the eyes, that there is a specific sculpt for the hole and the different parts, and there's going to be a little bit of a chunk missing on the, well, if you're looking at it, left-hand side, and it does have one specific way to fit in. So if you don't get it the first time, try looking at it a bit closer and flip it over. Once you get it in hand, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then, of course, we do have those chopping hands, which, not much to say there. Superman does lack from not having a true set of splayed hands, and in the promotional pictures, there was another head sculpt, which is going to be the same head sculpt he uses to fire off his rays, but he had actual eyes in it, kind of weird to say, and they had a red glow, almost as if he was getting ready to charge and fire. And they also indicated that this other head sculpt was coming with it. So I'm not quite sure why they axed that one, but such is life. Now for accessories for the Xenomorph, we get nothing. No support stand, no chest burster, egg, face hugger, none of that. So if you're hoping to maybe get something else that was stylized, you're not getting it in this set. Now it's time for a size comparison, and just to make this section easier in editing, I put all of the respective Comic-Con sets together, so this way you can see how big they are with your other figures. So for an example, all of the SDCC figures will be together, and all the NYCC figures will be together. Okay? So as you can see here, these superheroes look just fine in the 7-inch scale, and your Predators and Aliens, yeah, well, guess what? They're going to be your standard size. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. This is a rather fun set, but unfortunately we did have some paint issues which caused frozen joints and, paint flakage pretty much at all stages of operation, which to me wasn't that fun. But all that being said, Superman rocks, the Xenomorph is cool, so if you're really looking to get sort of a generic Superman and you like the Alien, well, this is definitely a set worth picking up. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now you've heard a lot from me, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand-selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand-selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.